brighter than stars, illuminating hulls scarred yet unbroken. Human ships hundreds, no thousands. Their designs were archaic, yet brutal in efficiency, armor plating thicker than anything in modern use, cannons mounted on every axis, silos that bristled with missile arrays. Their insignias, worn but unmistakable, marked them as vessels of the Terran defense network. But the most terrifying detail was not their awakening. It was their precision. They did not drift drunkenly like mindless drones. They maneuvered in silence, engines throttled with care, squadrons aligning into perfect formations as if only moments had passed since their last battle drill. Communications erupted across alien channels, desperate to understand, but no response came. The graveyard was not a graveyard at all. It was a garrison. The storm that had never died. Panic gripped the Dathai's fleet. Their admirals, certain of superiority, ordered scans to confirm whether the relics were automated husks. They received their answer when the first human ship locked weapons. A dreadnought, blackened and scar-scarred, released a single salvo, one lance of light, one kinetic rod accelerated to near-relativistic speed. It pierced a Syrinx cruiser through its core. The vessel imploded instantly, no time for shields, no chance for survival. Silence followed. Then, like wolves scenting blood, the entire armada moved. Missile swarms ignited, guided by codes that modern defense systems could not decipher. Alien ships scrambled, deploying countermeasures, but found themselves helpless as weapons bent past electronic jamming, as though the Terrans had written the very rules of warfare itself. And in a way they had. For centuries, the galaxy had advanced under the assumption humanity was gone. But the humans had not stopped planning. Their fleets were not monuments. They were traps, sharpened knives preserved for a single purpose, to wake only when needed. The Dathai's warships broke formation, trying to retreat. Yet the human vessels anticipated every move. Their formations adapted instantly, squadrons of frigates cutting off escape vectors, carriers disgorging drones like swarms of metallic hornets. The aliens had entered a battlefield humanity had prepared 500 years ago, and were already outclassed. Terror across the stars. Word spread faster than light. Fragments of transmissions escaped the massacre. Grainy visuals of black warships eclipsing stars, engines burning with impossible fury. Recordings of alien admirals screaming as Terran salvos tore through their fleets like paper. At first, disbelief reigned. Councils dismissed the reports as fabrications, propaganda meant to sow fear. But then came more sightings. Merchant ships vanishing near Terran sectors. Scout vessels returning only as drifting wrecks, their hulls sliced open with surgical precision. And always the same whispers. Engines roaring when no crew should remain. Ghost fleets maneuvering with discipline unmatched. Human codes embedded in signals, recognized by ancient archives yet indecipherable by modern systems. Fear turned to dread. Entire navies hesitated to patrol near Earth's ruins. Civilian trade routes bent away, as if the stars themselves were cursed. The phrase spread across every language. The Terrans kept their storms. What the galaxy learned. In secret councils, alien leaders debated the truth. Could humans have survived, hidden in their relics all this time? Were these warships controlled by descendants or by machines imbued with Terran will? But no answer satisfied. The undeniable truth was this. Humanity had not left its weapons to rust. They had woven them into eternity. Unlike other species who let their fleets decay, humans had built with foresight. They engineered ships to endure centuries, reactors that could slumber and reignite, code that adapted across millennia. Their designs were not just weapons, they were legacies. And now those legacies stirred. The galaxy realized too late that humanity had never been weak. They had never surrendered to extinction. They had simply gone silent, because silence was the sharpest blade. What else lay buried in their forgotten arsenals? What storms had they preserved in vaults no one dared to open? If these were their relics, what fury awaited when the true fleets woke? The silence breaks forever. On the edge of the Hither Belt, where it had all begun, alien scouts recorded one final transmission, broadcast not in alien tongues, but in the ancient cadence of Terran command. The voice was steady, human, and unmistakably alive. Protocol resurgence complete. Stand by for deployment. The fleets of Earth return. The transmission ended, engines flared, the Black Armada advanced. And across the galaxy, civilizations shivered. For the age of human silence was over. And the storms they had preserved were only beginning to rise. The silence of humanity. For centuries, the galaxy whispered only in absence when the word human was spoken. Their name lingered in fragments of history, etched in fatting treaties, in broken war records, in myths that no longer frightened children. Civilizations had risen and fallen since their disappearance. The proud Dominion archives listed humanity as extinct, their world either glassed in war or abandoned by time. The stars were silent, and silence had become proof. The Cathari scholars called them the Forgotten Engineers. The Voran Empire dismissed them as primitive warriors who burned themselves out. And the Relic Union, arrogant in its fleets, taught cadets that Terrans were nothing but a warning of hubris, strong, yes, but reckless. None of them feared humans anymore. Why fear ashes? The galaxy believed humanity was finished, and for generations they had been right. Or so they thought. Whispers in the graveyard. It began with a survey mission on the fringe of the Perseus Veil, where dust clouds choked sensors, and the silence of deep space pressed heavy on the hulls. A Relic scout frigate detected irregular signals, faint electromagnetic pulses, nothing resembling the beacon of a living civilization. Ancient, decayed, scattered like the heartbeat of something long dead. The readings were catalogued as ruins, another forgotten battlefield, another reminder of the wars that had erased entire species. But the pulses didn't fade. Instead, they grew stronger, rhythmic, as if aligning with some unseen countdown. The ships drew closer, scanners peeling through dust and wreckage. They expected debris. They found shapes. Colossal frames loomed in the dark, their silhouettes jagged against the starlight. Hulks of warships, Terran designs, unmistakable in their brutal simplicity. Sharp hulls of blackened steel. Angled plating scarred by time. Rows of weapon ports sealed like closed eyes. The Relic commander laughed over comms. A graveyard. They still float because humans overbuilt everything. Leave them to rust. And yet his crew could not look away. Some of the ships had power. The first flicker of awakening. It started with one. A battleship larger than any modern Relic dreadnought twitched with a faint glow along its hull. Just a spark. Just a single line of light tracing ancient conduits. The crew dismissed it as residual charge, a final trick of decaying reactors, but then another lit, and another. Soon dozens of hulks glimmered like embers refusing to die. The alien fleet backed away, nervous. Sensors screamed with conflicting readings. These weren't dead ships. Their cores were stabilizing. Their comms arrays aligned to signals older than the empires observing them. And then came the sound. not audible in space but felt through vibration, through hull resonance. A low thrum, steady, growing stronger. Ancient Terran fusion drives turning over, one by one, as if a slumbering beast inhaled after eons of stillness. "What activates them?" the Relic captain whispered. No one answered. When the ruin stood up, a transmission cut through the void. It wasn't in Relic code. It wasn't in any Dominion format. It was Terran standard. Authorization confirmed. Defense Directive 7 resuming. The ruins moved. The dead fleet aligned with precision that modern navies had long abandoned. Their formations locked tight, geometry perfect, no hesitation. Hundreds of vessels rotated in silence, guns swiveling, targeting arrays powering online. They weren't drifting relics anymore. They were soldiers at attention. And the galaxy understood the truth with icy dread. These were not derelicts. They were guardians preserved deliberately, engines caged until their time came. Humanity hadn't been erased. Humanity had been waiting. The terror of comparison. The Relic panicked and opened fire, desperate to prove the threat hollow. Plasma bolts and missile salvos screamed into the void, but against the awakened armada, they were sparks against a mountain. Ancient Terran plating drank the impacts, adaptive fields absorbing what modern fleets boasted as unstoppable. And then came the response. One Terran cruiser lit its spinal railgun. A single round, metal wrapped in magnetic fury, lanced across the battlefield. The Relic dreadnought it struck didn't shatter. It ceased to exist, atomized into debris scattered across kilometers. The aliens froze. Their entire doctrine, their centuries of progress, were ash compared to this. Terran ships moved like predators, not relics. Their sublight drives twisted gravity itself, engines that should not have functioned after millennia roaring with new life. They outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outlasted every opponent, as if the galaxy's current fleets were nothing more than children holding toys. Impossible.